I'm going to give you some quotes here from David Haye, the manager of Derek Chisora. He said he sparred AJ and he didn't even tell me. Normally he wouldn't do it, but he's ticked over in the gym and he said he's enjoyed sparring. Derek was impressed. AJ was super fit, in great shape, focused on his boxing. All the right noises were coming out of the camp. There were multiple sparring partners, including Bryant Jennings. AJ has slimmed down. If you're going to have a long-range boxing match, then trim off any unnecessary muscle. Derek's mindset now has the willingness to pay the price in training. He focuses on the fundamentals of hard work. It's not fun to work hard and eat boring meals. He's done that in the past, but now he's lean and mean. Straight after his fight with Price, he said, I need to lose weight. He has an extra stone of weight that he is carrying. He can still do sprints, deadlifting and sprints, but a 120 kilo Chisora would lose to a 113 kilo Chisora who would have faster reactions. He understands that and says he's willing to lose weight, or he will lose the weight, excuse me. So those are the words of David Haye, the manager of Derek Chisora. Interesting, he talks about Chisora's feedback with regards to AJ, but also that Derek Chisora knows he needs to lose weight. Perhaps he struggled in the sparring with AJ. Perhaps he saw the kind of shape that AJ's in and he thought, you know what, that's giving me some inspiration to get in better condition, to be lighter on my feet, because he might have been feeling himself after the David Price fight, but then when he sparred AJ and saw how much quicker AJ is on his feet than Price, he thought, you know what, nah, if I'm going to compete at the top level, I need to get some of this weight off. It's too much. So, sometimes your manager can tell you something until he's blue in the face, but you won't listen. You have to go in there and experience something in the ring, which makes you realize, you know what, I'm going in the wrong direction and I need to fix up. So maybe that's what happened there. But with regards to his feedback about AJ and the fact that AJ is apparently looking really sharp and good in sparring and all that, super fit and focused on boxing, this really is the acid test for AJ from a mental point of view as much as anything else. Because AJ has all the physical ability to beat Andy Ruiz. I personally don't think that AJ's punch resistance is the most concerning thing going into the Ruiz fight. No, because truth be told, AJ's fought bigger punches than Andy Ruiz before and beaten him. Vladimir Klitschko's a bigger puncher than Andy Ruiz. I would say Povetkin's probably a bigger puncher than Andy Ruiz. So he's been in there with bigger punches and beaten him. The issue here is not just stylistically, Ruiz is dangerous because he's a front foot counterpuncher. The issue is the mental scars that were left, not only from the Ruiz defeat, but from the subsequent backlash from the fans and the inevitable feelings of self-doubt, etc., that have crept into AJ's head. Overcoming that is going to be the biggest obstacle. That is where AJ versus Ruiz will be won and lost, in my opinion. Yeah, because as I say, AJ has the physical attributes to beat Andy Ruiz. He's got the height, he's got the reach, he's got the foot speed, he's got the hand speed. He can go 12 rounds. Andy Ruiz, because he's a front foot counterpuncher and because he's not a volume puncher, you don't necessarily have to throw a whole heap of shots over the course of a 12-round bout to outpoint him. Joseph Parker didn't throw that many against Ruiz when they went 12 rounds several years ago. And in fact, I would say from a strategic point of view, if you're going to fight Andy Ruiz and use your height and reach, you want to minimize the number of punches that you're throwing. The more shots that you throw, the more opportunity he has to counter you. So you want to throw, ones and twos and just keep it long and boring and basic. That's what you want to do. AJ can do that from a physical point of view. It's just whether he can hold it together mentally. And the mental aspect, I think, is also connected to his stamina. Because again, I think that the most alarming thing in AJ Ruiz 1 wasn't AJ's punch resistance. It was his stamina. He appeared to be completely and utterly gassed after just a couple rounds. And there seems to be a link between him being hurt and his stamina. We saw it in the Dillian Whyte fight. As soon as he got hurt by Dillian Whyte, it seemed to drain him of all his energy. And it took several rounds for him to recover. It was even worse against Vladimir Klitschko. When he got dropped in that 6th round, it took him several rounds to get over it. He doesn't recover quickly, Anthony Joshua. So the stamina is a bigger issue in my view than the punch resistance. Yeah. Will Andy Ruiz be able to exploit the stamina issues that Anthony Joshua has? And I've said for many years, I think Anthony Joshua's got stamina issues. And I've had a lot of backlash from AJ fans. And I was saying he's got stamina issues long before he lost to Andy Ruiz. Even after he went the distance against Joseph Parker, I was saying I'm still not convinced by his stamina because the fight was fought at such a slow pace. Anybody can go 12 rounds if it's a snail's pace. It's when you're under pressure. It's when you're forced to work hard. That's when we see what your stamina is like over 12 rounds. And AJ's never gone 12 rounds at a good clip. Even though the Klitschko fight went late, there were so many rounds in the middle of that fight where AJ wasn't doing anything because he was just trying to get over being hurt in round 6. So, yeah, I think the mental aspect of AJ's game is going to face its acid test in this Andy Ruiz rematch, and also his stamina. Now, with regards to the mental aspect, Matthew Macklin did this interview yesterday. And he said, well, yesterday, if you're watching on Tuesday, if you're watching this on Wednesday, it depends when I upload this. I might upload it on Wednesday, I'm not sure. But it was on the 11th. And Matthew Macklin was talking about the mental aspect of AJ Ruiz too. Matthew Macklin has suffered defeats. Matthew Macklin has been knocked out. He knows the mental turmoil and the scars that fighters have to heal from when coming off a knockout defeat where he was really beaten up. He knows how that feels like. He knows what that feels like. Now, of course, Matthew Macklin was never an elite fighter. And with a lot of elite fighters, not all of them, but with a lot of them, they have unusually strong mental ability. So whereby a fringe contender or a run-of-the-mill contender might not have that ability to recover quickly from a devastating, humiliating defeat, some of the elite fighters do have that ability. I mean, we saw when Lennox Lewis had an immediate rematch with Hasim Rahman. Lewis did not look gun-shy in that rematch. He didn't look scared. If you didn't know better, you'd think he'd never fought Hasim Rahman before in that rematch. He looked so confident. In fact, he looked more confident in the rematch than he did in the first fight. In terms of his body language and the way he was fighting, he seemed so self-assured. Yeah? Will Anthony Joshua be like that? Or will he be like most fighters in that same position where they're taking an immediate rematch against somebody who's just knocked them out? And will he actually be intimidated? Will he actually be mentally fragile? Will he actually be full of doubt? We'll see. It's the acid test. Will he have that elite level mental fortitude? Or will he be like a run-of-the-mill heavyweight contender in terms of his mental strength? It's going to be interesting to see, but they say he's sparring well. He's doing all the right things, trimming down the muscle, moving a lot more, focusing on his boxing. Of course, him and his team must have looked at the Joseph Parker, Andy Ruiz fight, and they should be using that as a blueprint. And as I say, one of the things that Joseph Parker did is he didn't punch with Ruiz, but he also didn't punch too much. Don't want to punch too much with the guy. Right? Keep it simple. 1s and 2s. If you got to win on points, win on points. You can worry about looking good against the next opponent. With this opponent, just win the fight. So, yeah, going to be interesting to see how it plays out, whether he can hold it together mentally and whether he can hold the stamina together because, It's really not about his chin as far as I'm concerned. People are talking about, oh, he's chinny, this, that, and the other. Listen, it's the heavyweight division. Lennox Lewis was knocked out with one punch twice by two guys who were not noted as one-punch knockout artists. And Oliver McCall and Hasim Rahman. So, but yet Lewis beat bigger punchers than them. He beat Shannon Briggs, he beat Vitaly Klitschko, he beat Mike Tyson, he beat David Tua, he beat Razor Ruddock. He beat Frank Bruno. Beat lots of people who hit harder than the guys who knocked him out. Same with AJ. He has beat people who hit harder than Andy Ruiz before. So it's really not about AJ's chin. It's more about his stamina and his mental strength. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.